Did you know that Bill Gates is currently the largest owner of farmland here in America? In fact, just a few weeks ago, Bill Gates was granted the legal authority to purchase another 2,100 acres of land over in North Dakota. And that was all despite heavy protests by the local residents there. With this new purchase, Bill Gates now officially owns 270,000 acres of land across 20 different states. And if you look at a map, you'll see that his largest plots are in Nebraska, Louisiana, Arizona, Florida, Illinois, Idaho, as well as Ohio. However, the big question here is obviously this: why would a tech billionaire like Bill Gates be buying up so much farmland? And as of right now, he hasn't disclosed his real intent.
This equation has four factors, a little bit of multiplication. So you've got a thing on the left, CO2, that you want to get to zero. And that's going to be based on the number of people, the services each person's using on average, the energy on average for each service, and the CO2 being put out per unit of energy. So let's look at each one of these and see how we can get this down to zero. Probably one of these numbers is going to have to get pretty near to zero. That's back from high school algebra. But let's take a look. First, we've got population. The world today has 6.8 billion people. That's headed up to about 9 billion. Now, if we do a really great job on new vaccines, health care, reproductive health services, we could lower that by perhaps 10 or 15%. But there we see an increase of about 1.3.
This is one of the most hated companies in the world. Monsanto is a giant agrochemical company that has had some serious controversies in its history. It was once a manufacturer of Agent Orange, a chemical weapon implemented in the Vietnam War, and they have also released consumer products like Roundup that were known to cause cancer and posed other serious health risks. On top of all that, they allegedly used predatory tactics with their GMO seeds, so if one of their patented crops blew into a neighboring farmer's land, they would sue the small farmer.
Blessed be our new founding fathers.
So what are natural flavors? It's a question I get asked, and an ingredient I personally stay away from. It's a man-made ingredient, so it's created in a lab and derived from a natural ingredient, which could be an animal or a plant ingredient, but then it can be mixed with up to 100 different ingredients, including synthetic chemicals or solvents. Labels do not have to disclose what goes into natural flavors, and they show up in a number of different products, from plant-based milk to salsa, yogurts, snacks, and dressings. They can help make food addictive, and since it's not transparent what's in them, it's an ingredient I personally stay away from.
I was on the trial team that brought the Monsanto cases, and we, ended up with a $13 billion settlement after winning 3 trials. But during those trials, we uncovered through discovery email traffic going back years that showed that the head of the pesticide division at EPA was secretly working for Monsanto and was running that agency to promote the mercantile ambitions of that business rather than the public interest. He was killing studies, he was fixing studies, he was ghostwriting studies, and that's true throughout the agency.
Looks like the largest multi-billion-dollar flavoring company in the world, Givaudan, got caught lying to you about what they put in your food. Watch what they accidentally admitted to in this 60 Minutes investigative report.
Natural flavors come from nature, but not necessarily from what the label implies. They extract its flavor molecules from the fruit on the tree. Then back in the lab, they mimic Mother Nature's molecules with chemicals.
So what we do is just manipulate them and create with them and give the impression of...
These are super sniffers, super tasters. They're plotting how to move the flavors they find in this grove to your supermarket shelf and then on to your stomach.
In our fruit flavors, we're talking about we want, a burst in the beginning and maybe a finish that doesn't linger too much so that you want more of it.
And you don't want a long linger because you're not going to eat more of it if it lingers.
But that suggests something else.
Exactly.
Which is called addiction.
Exactly.
You're trying to create an addictive taste.
It's a good word.
Or something that they want to go back for again and again.
Scientists let the cat out of the bag here. Yeah, addiction. But I gotta hand it to that lady. At least she backtracked with a positive spin. This proves that this multi-billion-dollar flavoring industry is definitely not just about taste. It's about getting you hooked because that's what other companies pay them the big bucks for. So the next time you see artificial or even natural flavor on a label, remember, these companies do not have your best interest at heart.
Food. Bill Gates just came out with something called Apeel. And what Apeel is literally A-P-E-E-L. And they're finna start interjecting these so-called shots into the fruits. So, be on the lookout for this too. And they're only doing organic fruits. And we was wondering why Bill Gates was going around buying up hundreds of thousands of acres of land. A lot of it that he bought in Missouri, which is where I'm from and where I operate from. And what they're doing is they finna start putting a lot of ejections in the actual foods because a lot of people are turning back vegetarian and back vegan. So now they're, I wouldn't say attacking the produce because I don't want to trigger nothing, but now they're experimenting on the produce.
If you are trying to avoid Apeel-coated produce, check out this list of stores that are carrying Apeel and some that are not. Here is a list of stores that have confirmed that they do not carry any Apeel produce. And these are just some of the stores that do sell Apeel-coated produce, and make sure you read the caption for many more.
Well, of course, if you want to wait and see if a side effect shows up, that takes 2 years. So
We are the first company in the world to get FDA green light to bring cultivated chicken to the market.
FDA says it's safe.
FDA said it was safe. It gave a green light to say, go ahead.
Dr. Uma Valetti is a cardiologist who founded Upside Foods, taking on a food chain as old as time.
It takes 2 weeks to grow the equivalent of 1 chicken, 1,000 chickens, or 100,000 chickens.
So you're saying in this factory you can make more meat faster and cleaner than an average farmer?
Well, ultimately, yes.
But first, the technology costing billions of dollars to fine-tune will need even more investment up. We saw how cells kept on ice can be replicated on a large scale, fed a mixture of vitamins, fats, sugars, and oxygen in tanks, growing into tissues of chicken.
Farmers have been growing meat for generations. What problem are you solving here?
The demand for meat is continuing to grow and double, and we just don't have enough resources nor ability to continue to grow that much meat. So the simple problem we're trying to solve is to bring meat to the table in a way that future generations can have an abundance of it, but with the upside to animal welfare.
The potential to exponentially expand the food supply has attracted top-tier investors like Bill Gates, Richard Branson, and Whole Foods founder John Mackey. President Biden is also on board, signing an executive order to support.
Marketed to kids is filled with colored sprinkles, dyes, and a bunch of other food additives. These ingredients and the effects on child health is what this pediatrician has been looking into.
You know, children are not little adults. They have developing brains and developing organ systems, and if you affect those at very early ages, it can have lifelong consequences.
Her report, published in the journal Pediatrics, shows, among other things, the harmful effects of food coloring, which has increased 5-fold in American food products over the past 6 decades.
Yellow, green.
The report lists food coloring may be associated with worsened ADHD, and studies cited say those children who cut synthetic food coloring showed decreased ADHD symptoms.
Scoop.
Even though a developing child's health is the most susceptible to adverse effects of food additives, adults are also at risk when consuming meat containing nitrites and nitrates.
Yeah, even the endocrine disrupting chemicals, they've been associated with things like endometriosis or testicular cancer.
At the Rainey's, Mom Rebecca says she's as vigilant as she can be.
And as a mom, I think it really just makes me almost more upset that companies are allowed to put all that in the food for kids and us.
But the report doesn't just cover what's in your food, but also what's around your food. Bisphenols, better known as BPA, used in metal linings of cans for foods like tomatoes, can act like estrogen in the body, potentially changing the timing of puberty, decreasing fertility, increasing obesity, and affecting the immune system. More and more companies are banning BPA from products. It's these small changes that can make big impacts on health.
I wish I had a little more time to make everything fresh and not have to rely on so much store-bought, but life is just so busy with kids on the run.
Engineered food ingredients is exactly the same thing as GMO. Fruit Loops that are ultra processed. That red 40, yellow 5, blue 1, those are artificial food colors. Contains a bioengineered food ingredient. Frosted Flakes contains a bioengineered food ingredient. Honey Nut Cheerios, notice that it's plural. So there's multiple bioengineered food ingredients in here. That's crazy. Even Raisin Brands, look heart healthy, contains a bioengineered food ingredient. Apparently there's that study that came out from Tufts that said that Lucky Charms are healthier than beef and eggs. Red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6, blue 1, artificial flavors. Trisodium phosphate, which is paint remover, contains bioengineered food ingredients. You're telling me this artificial garbage is better than meat and eggs? We live in a clown world. And people think oats are healthy, contains bioengineered food ingredients. Cornflakes contains a bioengineered food ingredient. It's also in Pop-Tarts, contains a bioengineered food ingredient.
When Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin signed a law in 2016 banning the importation and cultivation of genetically modified plants, seeds, and livestock, he made an easy decision.
Did you know that Vladimir Putin, the Russian's president, he's passed a law that any Russian who grows or sells genetically modified foods is to be considered a terrorist. Whew. He's even giving land away to Russians who will grow food organically, non-GMO. You put his name and GMO in Google that and you'll read the spiel. He says, we Russians look across at the West, over-vaccinated, over-medicated, overfed, sitting in front of boxes every night in their lounge rooms, eating food that has no nutrients, he said, and we know it's weakening the West. Is he right? Absolutely right. Yeah. Unfortunately, Monsanto is so powerful and so wealthy and so big, they win every court.
Monsanto is essentially your stereotypical evil conglomerate company. They have been known to sue farmers for using natural pesticides in growing supplements. They have been known to fund government campaigns in which the elected politician plans to cut back on restrictions regarding the environment, and have even gone as far to cover up cancer research on their specific products when it's been known to, cause cancer. Of course, as you can imagine, Monsanto is at the center of a lot of conspiracies regarding big pharma and evil tech and things such as.
Do you understand why capitalism inherently creates a conflict of interest between consumer, worker and capitalist? What do I mean by that? Well, it is always of the interest of a capitalist to grow their business and profits. This is directly opposed to what the consumer and the workers need and want. For example, in Europe, they have a lot of ingredients in food that are banned because they cause health problems. Now the capitalists want to use these ingredients because they likely are cheaper, addictive, and therefore more profitable. But they also cause health problems long term. Now given the choice, American food industries have chosen to continue to use these ingredients. Now why would they do that? Because with the stock market, you can own portions of the health industry as well as the food industry. So when people become addicted to health issue causing foods, they can profit off of the healthcare they will require as well. This is happening today.
What would you like to see as your legacy in 10, 15 years?
I've set very ambitious goals because I'm quite optimistic. If you look at, say, the 20 diseases that our global health program goes after, I'd hope that within 15 years, over half of those, we could have had a very dramatic impact. Some of them will prove to be harder than others. For example, AIDS, we will have made an improvement, but not the dramatic improvement probably in that time frame.
Oh, let's talk about it. Food, health, and hope. Spoiler alert, they actually don't care about any of those things. I know. Shocker. Monsanto was created by John Francis Queeny here in 1901, where he created an artificial sweetener that really put Monsanto on the map. So much so that in 1928, John was able to leave his son a multi-million-dollar chemical company. And boy, do they love their chemicals. Monsanto was a huge part in creating the atomic bomb. They were also a huge supplier of Agent Orange, which was a chemical used to destroy Vietnam's food supply, which harmed so many people with birth defects and cancers. So many American vets came home with all kinds of cancers. They also had an Agent Orange chemical plant in West Virginia that harmed so many civilians. They also love PCBs, which were outlawed in 1979. And many documents have come to light that show that Monsanto knew how harmful these chemicals were, but continued to produce and sell them, as well as dump them in water supplies. You can ask Anniston, Alabama about that. Then in 2018, they were bought for $66 billion by the company Bayer, who owns that one product. This one, that's right. You know, the product that kills honeybees as well as weeds that are actually really good for your health. Unlike Nestle, Monsanto is almost impossible to completely avoid, but there are steps that you can take, including supporting your local small farmer.
That's how they make protein powder.
Natural flavors are one of the most evil ingredients, I believe, in our food supply, because they trick your brain and they hijack your taste buds and they continue that craving, so you eat more than you should. And with obesity, heart disease, and diabetes as our biggest issue in this country, and cancer, you know, we have to take control of our taste buds. And the only way to do that is not to allow the food industry to control them. And so removing natural flavors from your diet is like the number one thing, I think. And it's so, you know, even though there's many more chemicals that are much more harmful to you, almost 99% of the products on product shelves at the grocery store have natural flavors. So if you avoid natural flavor, you avoid many of those. And it's actually one of the reasons I started my company, Truvani. I just want to mention, because there are so many supplement companies out there, protein powder companies and supplement companies that use these natural flavors. And I wanted to create a line of products that were made from real food and non-synthetic substances. It didn't trick your brain into craving a flavor more than it should. I want people to be able to turn off their normal mechanism to crave food.
Fourth grader schools you on Food Matrix.
What the Matrix is.
Not good is what it is. It's those chemtrails taking away our sun every day. You know,
what's the Food Matrix?
Food Matrix is everything you see in stores: candy, chips, fruit. Sometimes.
Why is it a Food Matrix?
Because they're growing it in labs. It's not good. You shouldn't be eating it.
Design the whole scheme, or
Design
what?
it, exactly.
Just for what?
No reason.
No reason?
Just so we can get sick. And they don't even tell us.
Really? Why would they do that?
Because they want to make money.
Why do they want to make money?
Because they're in the Matrix.
They're designed the Matrix?
Yes. They designed it, all of it.